Yo, what you lot saying? This boy's your boy here, and today's episode I'm going to be talking about the 2015 Formula E Paris EP for you guys. So yeah, let's get right into it. But before I start, there's something I really want to talk about, and that is the reason why I've been off this week on YouTube. It's just because coursework. There's been a lot of deadlines this week, so I've had to meet those, and as doing so, I've had to put YouTube on hold for a little bit while I deal with my coursework. So now with that done for a little bit, now I have some free time to actually get some videos done, actually upload for you guys. So yeah, I hope you guys will appreciate that, and yeah, hopefully understand that as well too. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Now we'll start from qualifying because I didn't watch practice at all. So yeah, let's get right into it. So qualifying got underway in very sort of cloudy conditions. It was very dark, potential signs of rain, which didn't really happen throughout the day of the Formula E. So yep. There was a change in driver. Salvador Duran got replaced by Martin Coix. I know Martin Coix quite a lot through A1GP. He was very good in that series, so to see him back in racing, sort of now in a sort of better, sort of a major international racing series, is quite awesome to see. So yeah. And back into the action. First little incident was Heidfeld. He actually lost the rear, smashed it heavily into the wall, and as he was coming out of the wall, hit Conway came out of nowhere on a fast lap, hit the side of Heidfeld, almost head on, I would say, and that broke the front end of Conway, and that pretty much was the end of his session. And same too for Heidfeld as well. They wouldn't complete any decent lap time, so as a result they'd be put to the back of the grid.
He made one mistake and then made another by. He's probably trying to get out. He probably thinks he's in the firing line here. Oh, jeez. Yeah.
And really, my thoughts on that is just really, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there was yellow flags, to be honest. So I don't know. I can't really make a real judgment on that. But in hindsight, I think Heidfeld should have just been aware of his surroundings in terms of the track, because there are drivers that are out on the track setting really quick lap times, and he has to be very careful he doesn't trip over one of them, which he did. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just by accident, to be honest. But still, you know, you gotta when you have a spin or an accident on a live circuit, you have to be aware of the cars around you, so that you can get out safely. So yeah, but even so, I think honestly a racing incident. Yeah, I think honestly Heidfeld didn't make it intentionally known to do that, to be honest. But yeah. So then afterwards, the session got back underway, and the most surprising thing was Buemi. He actually qualified 8th place, so the former championship leader really entitled, to be honest, especially as his rival Lucas was way ahead up in the grid. I'll talk more about him later on, but yeah, Buemi really struggling. 8th place, really strange, to be honest, especially as this is the team's home circuit. You know, to be somewhat almost right down almost the midfield pack or the lower midfield is quite really surprising. So I hope this ain't a sign of bad things to come. Hopefully this will be maybe a surge in charge that we've seen him in the past doing, especially in Buenos Aires, where he qualified at the back and made a miraculous recovery back up to 2nd place. So hopefully this ain't the start of bad things to come for Buemi, especially as he had a torrid weekend last time out in Long Beach. So yeah. So then afterwards, the session got back underway, and the most surprising thing was Buemi. He actually qualified 8th place, so the former championship leader really entitled, to be honest, especially as his rival Lucas was way ahead up in the grid. I'll talk more about him later on, but yeah, Buemi really struggling. 8th place, really strange, to be honest, especially as this is the team's home circuit. You know, to be somewhat almost right down almost the midfield pack or the lower midfield is quite really surprising. So I hope this ain't a sign of bad things to come. Hopefully this will be maybe a surge in charge that we've seen him in the past doing, especially in Buenos Aires, where he qualified at the back and made a miraculous recovery back up to 2nd place. So hopefully this ain't the start of bad things to come for Buemi, especially as he had a torrid weekend last time out in Long Beach. So yeah. So with that being said, we went into the pole shootout with the two DS Virgin cars, especially with Jean-Eric Vergne getting in there. I think it's the first time, no, actually the second time that he's actually done it. So good on him. Sam Bird, of course. Lucas Degrassi, Sarrazin, and I believe Fritz was in it as well. So yeah, they battled hard. They gave it everything. But the potential winner, well, the winner of the shootout was Sam Bird, putting an electric lap time of 101.5, I believe it was, over a 101.9 over the championship leader Lucas Degrassi. So a very, very good lap by him there, especially as this is DS's home race as a team. So that's awesome, and also as well for Jean-Eric Vergne, third place, good on. Good to put the team high up there as well, so that's awesome. Yeah, Lucas Degrassi second, good on him, especially as his rivals well done in 8th place. I believe Sarrazin was 4th with French in 5th, so good on them two to get up high in the field. They've sort of been in the midfield, sort of lacking the consistency of being up in the top end, so that's nice to see them sort of near the sharp end. So yeah. And then as we got into the start of the race, it was a really, really bad start for Sam Bird. He pretty much span his rear tires, so much so that Lucas Degrassi got a brilliant start and actually was side by side with Sam Bird on the run down to turn 1. And as they come into turn 1, Sam Bird was left really hung out to dry, and as a result dropped down to 2nd and then 3rd from his teammate Jean-Eric Vergne as he took 2nd place. So a very, very torrid start for Sam Bird, not the start he would wanted, especially as he's sort of in that fight for the championship, and to see his hopes almost being wiped out, especially on St George's Day, is massively crushing, to be honest.
Here comes Degrassi surely to take the lead of the race into the right-hander of turn 1, and all Vergne just about getting it stopped.
And then as the race started, we also had a battle between the next TV China car of Oliver Turvey and Daniel Abt, and I believe as well Robin Fritz as well. Robin got a bad start as well. He started like 5th or something like that, and then dropped down to 8th place. A really torrid start. But Boemi, by the way, got a really good start, managed to get himself up to 6th place, which is awesome from him. But yeah, as a result, Fritz and Abt, because of their bad starts, were behind Oliver Turvey, who was struggling in terms of power compared to the Amelie and Andretti car of Fritz and the Aguri car of who is it? Da Costa, yeah, sorry, Da Costa. So, but thankfully, actually, Fritz actually got past the XTV China car. I think it was down the inside going into turn 1. So, very, very good opportunist move from Fritz, and as a result, he managed to pull away from Turvey and managed to really set his sights on Sarrazin, which he would end up staying with to the majority of the race, yeah. And then afterwards we were left with Da Costa and Turvey. Da Costa tried absolutely everything to pass Turvey. He was going left, right, centre, all that types. And but thankfully he did manage to make a great move down the inside. Same thing as sort of Fritz did into turn 1, and managed to get himself past Turvey after a few laps behind him, and after a few laps of really frustrated sort of overtakes on him. To finally do it is awesome, and it was a very, very clean and opportunist move from Da Costa as well. And pretty much after that he pulled away and managed to really set his sights on Fritz and the 2 Renault cars as well out in front as well. But as for the other next TV China car, Piquet really was struggling. Like in the mid part of the race, he really struggled with power, and so much so that he actually dropped to the back of the grid. Like he was running 10th at the time, and then all of a sudden he just started losing power, and as a result dropped way down the field, almost to like the back of the grid, which is mental. So not working out well for Piquet, to be honest. His season going from bad to worse. Then after that we saw Lucas Degrassi having a bit of troubles. I don't know what it was, to be honest, but the car seemed to splutter quite a lot as he was going through the escape road, and as a result he had to pull up a couple of metres after the escape road, and that was it for him. And as a result, the full course yellow was called. It was only out for like a lap or 2, so it didn't really make a lot of difference in terms of the racing, I would say, to be honest. So yeah. And then as we got back to green, there was a fight between Jean-Eric Vergne and Sam Bird, the 2 DS cars, fighting very, very hard. Sam desperately trying hard to get ahead of Jean-Eric Vergne, especially as Sebastian Buemi, who dropped to, who actually moved up to 6th, actually got up to 4th, passing both Sarrazin and Prost to be behind the two DS cars, especially behind Sam Bird, one of his championship rivals. And yeah, he was trying absolutely everything. He was throwing everything on Jean-Eric Vergne, but as much as he tried, Jean-Eric Vergne had every answer to Sam Bird's attacks. So as a result, it made it really, really hard, and Sam was getting a little bit frustrated, I would say, in that DS car as he was hustling the back of Jean-Eric Vergne, as Buemi was close behind as well. And then as we got into the pits, Lucas Grassi built up an amazing lead. It was about 5 seconds as soon as he came to the pits. The two Virgin cars, or actually the two DS cars, came to the pits as well. They came in line as third, same to the two Renaults as well, and Sarrazin, and I believe Frinz as well. And then as they came out of the pits, it was pretty much the same order as well. No real changes as well, to be honest, especially. And also another thing to point out, they were really close in terms of energy, to be honest. They were on 1% as soon as they came to the pits, so very, very risky tactics, to be honest, you know. If it was me, I would have probably pitted with about 5% to go, so very, very risky indeed, you know. Apparently if you go to 0%, it's not like what you think it is, where the car just stops and that's it. No, the FIA actually give you a penalty for overuse of energy. So yeah, very, very risky tactics that most of the drivers were doing to try and see if they can eke as much laps as they can. But thankfully, they all managed to get into the pits and out without any penalties at all. So yeah. And then afterwards, the battle resumed. We had both the Virgins, well actually both the DSs, I don't know why I call them Virgins to be honest, but I call them DSs now. They both fought very, very hard, giving it absolutely everything. But then afterwards we saw Sam really struggling at the latter part of the race. Really struggling, losing touch to Jean-Eric Vergne, which put him a bit under pressure from Sebastian Buemi. And really throughout like 10 or so laps, Sebastian was right on the back of Sam Bird, really hustling so much, just like Sam did to Jean-Eric Vergne, really hustling him hard, trying absolutely everything to get past so he can limit the gap between himself and Lucas Grassi in the championship. And then with about 6 or so laps to go, Sam Bird loses it. He does pretty much the exact same thing that he did in Long Beach, except that he didn't hit the wall. He actually locks up his brakes, runs wide, goes onto the escape road in turn 1, spins the thing round and drops down to 6th place. Very, very terrible for Sam Bird.
Super late on the brakes, locks up, goes straight on, through goes Buemi. Bird very cunningly spins it back around.
You know, to be honest, I think Sam Bird's got to just, I don't know, I mean, Sam, that was a really, really clumsy thing to do, especially for his championship chances. I mean, I know we're all human, these things can happen, but this is the second time this has happened consecutively, and really Sam has got to iron up these things, to be honest, because, you know, he is dropping back in the championship. You know, when in the start of the race, it looked like we were going to see Sam actually put a challenge to the championship. But with these kind of things, we're probably not going to see that at all. And Sam's really got to make sure these kind of things doesn't happen again, or, you know, these things doesn't happen in future, because, you know, he is in 3rd in the championship. He's not far from the leaders. He could really put a challenge for the championship. And the fact that he's not doing it, and the fact that he's making these silly mistakes like this, is very, 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 very disappointing for myself, and very disappointing for him as well, and the team as well, especially on their home race as well. So yeah, Sam Bird really has got to iron up these mistakes, and if he can do that, that will really help him a lot in terms of his consistency in results. Yeah. But then in the closing stages of the race, the Aguirre driver, I believe it was Da Costa, he loses it on the exit of the final corner, hits the wall very, very hard. A lot of the Formula E drivers were almost sideways on a couple of occasions going through the last corner, but Da Costa really pushing it over the limit.
Oh, and Mars in the wall.
and as a result hit the wall very, very hard, and as a result the safety car was called, which meant that the race would finish behind the safety car, which meant that Lucas Di Grassi came through to take the victory, a very, very dominant victory from start to finish. He made that move stick in turn 1, and pretty much afterwards was just gone. He was out of here. Second was Jean-Eric Vergne, good drive by him, especially holding off both Buemi and Sam Bird, of course. Third was, I believe it was Buemi, so good drive by him as well, from 8th to 3rd, good. Fourth, I think it was Stefan Sarrazin, so good drive by him, especially on his home track, so that's awesome. Fifth, I believe it was, Prost, so good drive by him as well. Very sort of lowly, sort of quiet race for him there in 5th. And then 6th was Sam Bird, very disappointing. Like I said, got to sort of improve these sort of inconsistent mistakes, you know, to be honest, because he's third in the championship, and he needs to, if he wants to win the championship, he needs to iron up those mistakes, yeah. And that is it. So overall, a pretty darn good race. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Out of 10, I've got to give that a 9 out of 10. It was a really, really good race. Lot of battles happening all the way down the field, and yeah, pretty awesome race, especially as this is the first race at Paris for Formula E. It was so nice, a very, very good race, lots of overtakes, lots of battles, like I said, and yeah, pretty enjoyable. So yeah, so that's going to be it for today's video. Let me guys know what you thought of the race in the comments below. Click the like button if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. It's your boy, and I'm out. Peace.